Hi, you guys. I'm Denise. I'm an addict.
Hey, Denise.
Hank tried to kill me yesterday. It was like, pop on up there. It's okay. And me, the trusting soul that I am, I pop up there, and this thing starts wobbling. I'm thinking, hurricane force. He's a hurricane force. He's going to knock this thing down. But I'm just not afraid anymore. I mean, I'm not stupid to get out there and do crazy things that are really going to hurt me. But this program has taught me not to be afraid to experience life. And I used to be so afraid to experience life. I mean, every day that came, I dreaded those days because I didn't know what was going to happen. I couldn't control it. Emotionally, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to hear no. I wasn't ready to hear yes. I wasn't ready to hear maybe. I just wasn't ready for what life had to offer me. And I thought that everything in life was just going to be a bad and terrible and horrible thing. And so I remember before I got to this program, I didn't wake up with a lot of hope in my heart every day. I just woke up with this attitude of just get through the day. And that's a long time to live your life just getting through the day. And now that I'm clean and I see what life really has to offer, it's a privilege to open my eyes in the morning and take that first breath and know that I'm here and to dream about the possibilities of what this day might hold. And I'm seeing so much beauty. And it's true that some of that beauty has come through painful experiences in the beginning, but it always gave way to the beauty that life holds for me. And I'm really grateful that this program put me in a position to listen and to feel what life is. One of my mottos is, and it's not a program motto, it's just a life motto for me, is that I just want to live before I die. You know, and I see so many people who don't, like me at one time, don't have the courage to live. And this program has given me courage and hope, and I hold on to those things dearly because I need those to get through life and to experience this wonderful journey. And I just want to talk a little bit about what my experience has been. And excuse me, because I have a Florida cold. So I'm hoping that the Florida orange juice will help me get rid of this Florida cold. I can't believe I came to Florida and got a cold. Bad Florida. But it's okay. But I just want to talk a little bit about, you know, what my experience had been, kind of getting to know that something wasn't right about me. And, you know, I didn't know the word addict when I was younger. I just knew, you know, we called them all kinds of different names, but it wasn't anything as kind as addict. So when I got here and you said addict, I was like, oh, I could wear that. That's a cooler name. But I didn't know what was wrong with me growing up. And I know, you know, our book talks about it not being, you know, that we were addicts long before we used. Our book says that. And so I didn't go through this long, drawn-out thing of trying to figure out which hit, which drink, which pill, which toke made me an addict. Because I fully understand that I was an addict before I picked up the first use. And it's always about the drugs for me, and it's also about the behavior that drives some of my really poor decision making in my life. And I remember making really poor decisions before I ever knew what any drug was. I remember just not being able to accept what life was. And bigger than anything, it wasn't even about life, it was about me. I mean, I always had poor self-image. I never looked at myself like I was okay. I just wasn't okay. I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't nice enough, I wasn't anything. I mean, even from a little kid walking into, because we moved a lot because my stepfather was in the military, so we were always introduced to these new environments. And it wasn't the other kids, it was me that always put me on the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, there I was, all ththese kids were like, hey, welcome to the school, and we do this, and we play here. And I was like, I don't fit in. I mean, it was just normal. It was just natural for me. They don't like me. And they weren't doing anything to me. I mean, yeah, you have your basic rivalries that happen, but I took it to this whole deep, dark, dreadful level of the world hates me, you know? And I had been that way growing up. And I also remember the other big struggle in my life was the relationship that I had or didn't have with my mother. And that was really impactful on who I was and how I looked at myself, because I felt like I just kept going through this cycle of trying to get her to love me. You know, and now that, you know, time has passed and awareness has come about, I understand that she loved me to the best of her ability. She loved me with what she had, and it wasn't enough to fill that hole in me. You know, and so I had this hole walking around from a little kid to a big kid to a little kid in recovery. And I didn't know what to put in this hole, so I just put all kinds of things in it. And nothing ever satisfied me. Nothing ever made me feel like I was okay. And that's all I ever really wanted. The greatest privilege, besides the daily reprieve from using drugs, the second biggest privilege and gift that this program has to offer me is the ability to just be. To just be. And that might sound so simple, but I remember when I couldn't just be. I had to be this and do that and go here and have this and get this and give that. There always had to be this action in my life going on, and I never could just sit still with myself. And I can't tell you, and some of you guys know this already, many of you probably know this because you're here now, but to just be able to sit down in my skin, in my mind, and be okay. And it's not attacking me, and you're not attacking me, and everything is just okay. I did a lot of dope to try to get that feeling. I smoked a lot of stuff to try to get that feeling. And come to find out, I didn't need any of that. I just need a connection with the God of my understanding. And I didn't think I could ever be connected to a God of my understanding. You know the drill. I had done so much stuff. I had made so many mistakes. God did not have time for me. Even growing up when I was little, you know, we were all taught about God in different ways. And one of the wonderful things about this program is that it gives me the option to have a God of my own understanding. Because I do remember my grandmother's God and my mother's God. And he was pissed all the time. I mean, he just had this big ball of fire that he was just waiting on me to make a wrong move and just zap me. You know, that's how I felt. You know, I wasn't told things like if you make a mistake, God will forgive you, and then you can move on and you can learn from that mistake and do something good. But I was like, if you wear those pants and girls aren't supposed to, you're going to hell. And so when I started to use and when I started to do all these things in my life, and I knew that I needed help and I didn't know where help was going to come from, I was afraid to go to God because I just thought I had pissed him off so much that God wasn't going to help me. I just didn't think that I was worthy of God helping me. One of the experiences that I went through very early in my life was that I got infected with HIV. And that was, you guys, I just had a birthday Saturday past, the 31st of March, and I turned 38, which is so cool because I have this rocking gray hair right here. But the other thing that God granted me on that day was to stand here and be able to tell you that I now have been living with HIV for 25 years. I mean, and that's amazing to me. I mean, that is amazing to me. And that within itself has been a journey for me because I remember I never asked God, why did this happen to me? I don't know why, but that question never came up for me. But I did always ask God, how am I going to get through this? You know, because here I am using, so we already have the stigma attached with using, you know, the don't leave your purse around her thing. And that was true, because I'd take it. I wouldn't take the whole purse, just the stuff in the purse. And then there was this thing of just the struggle to be a human being. You know, because I came through being diagnosed with HIV in a time when we didn't talk about it. I mean, I could say AIDS and it would clear this room. I couldn't be around babies. You know, there was a long time in my life where I missed the smell of a baby. And it was something as simple as that. Now, I don't have any children of my own, but just people protected their children from me because they somehow thought that me breathing on the child. And people didn't really know any better because we were all learning about this disease at the same time. But I remember being so isolated inside myself for so many reasons. The behavior of using and the places that it took me to and how it made me cut myself off from my family and from any kind of God, less more one of my understanding. It made me cut myself off from society and from friends and from any dreams and hopes that I ever had for myself. And then here's this other disease that's piggybacking on this disease that cut me off from everything else that I hadn't already cut myself off from. So I was just a lonely soul. I mean, I was so lost on this earth. And I remember just when I was in the height or the depth, as the speaker Greg put it, in the depths of my addiction, I remember walking down the street homeless and aimless and looking inside the windows of people's houses and just wondering what it was like to be inside a house, sitting at a table with people that loved and cared about you and eating food and talking about what happened that day, because I was so far removed from the human experience. I mean, I felt like, I don't know what I felt like. I felt so bad. And even just the smell of a child, of an infant, just my sister, when she had her son, she insisted I come over and hold this child, and I was so scared because by then my mind was saying, what if what they're saying is true? What if I breathe on this child and give him my HIV? You know, I was scared to touch my nephew, and I remember getting over there and looking at this beautiful, incredible being that she had brought to this earth, and she put him in the middle of the bed, and I sat there and I was afraid to touch him. I was afraid. I mean, the stigma had eaten right through any reasonable, rational thought that I had, and then I was that. I was just a disease. I was just a dual disease walking. I was AIDS, I was addiction. I was AIDS, I was addiction, and that's who I was. I wasn't Denise anymore. And by the time I got to this program, by the time I stayed in this program, I had been here once before, and your rules were just too stringent for me. I couldn't do that. What the hell do you mean, don't do this? I just want to stop using. What does this have to do with using? I was one of those. So when I finally got really ready to get clean, one of the things that was really important for me, you know, we all come here with different stories, and we all come here with different things that keep us in the grip of addiction. One of the things that I needed to do was I needed to talk about being HIV positive. You know, that was a part of my recovery and my spiritual journey that's so interwoven to who I am that I can't disconnect it. And I have finally reached the point in my life where I don't care to disconnect it. And if people associate me with that word now, it's a privilege, because it's not death, it's hope, and it's life. And when I got here, I needed to say, I'm Denise, I'm an addict, and I'm HIV positive. That's what I had to do for my first step. I had to include everything that I was ashamed of and that was killing me and that was keeping me out there. And that's the first freedom I had ever experienced in my life. And by the time I really got here and wanted to stay, I was just now 22 years old, and I was ready, you know, and I had taken myself through so much. And then there was this God thing still looming over my head. And I thought, how do I deal with this? I've done so much stuff. How do I reconnect to my spirit? Is it still in there? Do I still have one? And as I went through detox and all the treatment programs and stuff that I went through, you know, I started to feel like maybe. I saw you guys, and you guys gave me hugs, and you told me everything would be okay. And I started to feel just a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of hope that maybe this God had a heart big enough to let me back in. And I started praying for that. And I think my first prayers weren't really to not pick up, because I had surrounded myself by people who weren't using. And I felt safe in my network, and I felt safe because I was going to meetings, and I was calling people, and I was doing all the things this time that you guys suggested. This time I realized that I was not wise enough to pick which suggestions were important. So I decided I had damn well better use all of the suggestions if I really wanted to stay this time. So my prayers, my very first prayers in recovery were, God, could you love me again? You know, God, could you love me again? And that's what I prayed. God, could you love me again? And I never realized that a higher power had never stopped loving me. It took me a long time to realize that a higher power had never stopped loving me, that I had stopped loving myself. I didn't know how to forgive myself. We in this program have gone through a lot of transformations. You know, we have grown with the times. We have had to. You know, we have a program that does not change, but we have attitudes that absolutely must change to make room for every manifestation of the recovering addict. And I remember when I got here, and I tell this story not to scold us, but to remind us. When I got here, I was ready. I was so ready that I did everything that was suggested to me. I was hungry for this program, and I was serious about this program, and I was grateful that I had been plopped down into the middle of Narcotics Anonymous. And I remember going through grave discrimination inside the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and all I was trying to do was just stay clean a day at a time. You know, I remember standing up after meetings, talking to people about recovery, trying to get connected, trying to know more people so that I would have more choices, so that I can get more messages, so that I could have a better chance of really staying here. And I remember what it felt like to get here and to be brand new in these rooms and to be dealing with another disease that I really didn't know how to deal with. And I have to remind you guys that I'm here 25 years now, but those years ago, we really were not surviving this long with HIV. We really were just very, very quickly passing away. We buried so many friends and so many people who were in the process of recovery that didn't even get a chance to stay alive long enough to really feel the benefits of the freedom from active addiction. And I remember just reaching out to people and people identifying me and saying, oh, she's got AIDS, as if this person shouldn't talk to me anymore. And it was starting to make me feel closed off in the rooms. I remember sitting in a meeting, and you know, it was really starting to dawn on me that, you know, Denise, you're clean now, yeah, but the doctor is saying this, and this is what's going on with your health. And then I'm watching other people around me pass away who were taking great care of themselves. And it started to dawn on me that I could die clean. That maybe I didn't have to OD to die. Maybe somebody didn't have to blow my brains out or rape me and leave me in a ditch for me to die. Maybe AIDS was actually going to kill me clean. And I remember getting worried about that and wanting to share how I was feeling about that and get some help to get through that in meetings. And I remember people telling me that Narcotics Anonymous wasn't the place to share that. And I also remember somebody coming right behind me sharing that they had been diagnosed with cancer, and I remember the whole room just swooped in around this person. Now, I didn't have a resentment against the love that that person was getting, but this low self-esteem and this worthlessness and this I don't belong started to come up in me, and I had to fight to stay. I had to fight to stay. And that's why to this day, that's how I am. I would just get up in your face and love you. I would just come to you and say, hey, I'm Denise, hi. Because I remember doing that and it not really working, it not really reaching people because they were so afraid of my disease. And I refuse to allow anything on this earth or beyond to disconnect me from you, even if it's you. I absolutely refuse to allow it to disconnect me from you. Because you are my vein of life. You are how I stay alive. Beyond the mother that I love so dearly and the sister that I would give any part of my body for and the nieces and nephews that I adore, beyond that, even closer to me than that are you guys, because you stand between me and active addiction, and I cannot fight that thing by myself. I have never been able to, and I will never survive against it. You are my very survival, and I refuse to allow anything to stand between us. And that's why I'm that way now, because I saw how early on in recovery, a lack of real spiritual cohesiveness, fear had crept into our community, and it almost made us separate each other from ourselves. And so I say that not to scold us, because this program itself is perfect. There's no part of it that needs to be tweaked or fixed. But we sometimes have to reach inside and step up to what this program really asks us to do. And so we must always remember. We must always remember that this truly is the last house on the block, and we cannot allow anything to come into our home and tear us apart. We cannot allow money and diseases and social issues and political issues and racism, sexism, classism, homophobia. We cannot allow anything to come into our house and keep us from sitting down at the table with each other and breaking bread, because that's how we live. I know that we all have different views on things. We're under the same spiritual umbrella. We have the same spiritual principles to bounce ourselves off of, but we all have different personal views about things. And we've all had different experiences coming into this program. I've experienced a lot of love. You know, those incidences, they came and they passed, and I stuck and I stayed. And the people that didn't know how to react to me, they grew and they learned. And that's also one of the reasons that I got so heavily involved outside of the program of carrying a message of HIV awareness, because I understood that so many people were afraid just because they just didn't know how it worked. And so I made it my business to go out into the world and tell people, this is how you get it, this is how you don't. And now I spend my life as a person with AIDS fighting to make sure that you don't get it. And I think that's the most worthy way I could spend my life outside the rooms. And this program teaches me to take, this hour or hour and a half or 2 hours, depending on how many meetings a day you make, this time that we spend inside meetings every day, the sole purpose is to learn how to live outside of meetings. So I'm not just supposed to pick up coffee cups and move chairs inside the rooms. I'm supposed to go out into the world and pick up coffee cups and chairs because that's my purpose. See, I was really mistaken when I got here. I really thought that Narcotics Anonymous was about me. I'm using, I'm hurting, I'm devastated, my life needs fixing, I need some love, And okay for the first part, it was. But then as I got into the steps, I was like, something is changing here. We don't stop talking about me. I was like, do I have to go past this step? Because, that's not about me anymore. I didn't realize that the beautiful way that this program is structured is to help me look at me, help me clean me out so that I could be there for you. Did you know that's what this program was up to? In case you didn't know, now you know. I mean, it's cool if you get to wake up every day and drive a car that you don't give to the dope man. That's great. It's cool, if you have a decent place to live now, that's great. But those are just facsimiles thereof the truth of this program. And the truth of this program is that it's put here to get the hell out of us so that we can share love with each other, so that we can really be there for each other. And that's the truth. And I don't care how many different ways you read our literature, it says the same thing. It says the same thing. The whole process, the whole purpose is to prepare us for service. That's the whole purpose. That's why we're here. And so why would I take what God has given me and only share it inside here with us? Now, give it. Right. This is my number one priority. Don't get me wrong now. This is my number one priority, but the program is here to make me a better human being. It is here to help me be a better human being so that I can be a vessel, so that I can be a carrier of a message of hope and of love and of perseverance and of courage and of brotherly love and of all these things that we talk about in these rooms. And I get to practice on you first. So in case I don't get it right, you can help me tweak it. But the community of Narcotics Anonymous is so important to the world. You guys thought this program was just for us and just for addicts, but do you know what kind of impact after we really allow this process to get down into our hearts, into our lives, and turn from talk into action? Do you know what kind of impact we have on the greater world? And no, it's not about going out there. It's about attraction rather than promotion. But do you know how attractive it is to another person's spirit when they see somebody that's truly been touched by this program, and they might not even have a problem with drugs. They might not even be an addict. But just to see someone who's living clean, and I don't mean just clean from the drugs, I mean clean from the hell that we kept taking ourselves through. Clean from the ways that we degrade ourselves. Clean from the ways that we bury our spirit inside resentment and anger and fear and jealousy and all of these things that we allow to trap our spirits. Do you know how attractive and how beautiful it is for someone to look at us and see that glow of spirit on us? I know that this program is important to me for my own safety, for my own health. I know this program is important for me so that I can not use one day at a time by the grace of God. But I know this program is also important to my nieces and nephews who might not understand the meaning of love and spirituality, and they may never pick up in their lives. I know this program is important to my mother who was never really taught how to open up her heart and trust to just give it to someone with tenderness. And she may not even use. Of course, I don't know now. But I'm just saying, this program is important to me. This program is important to everyone. I truly believe, I ask people, how people always say, well, how's life treating you? How's life treating you? I have this habit of asking people, how are you treating life? Because I learned through this program that it's not about what I get. And yeah, I need things to survive, but I seriously am not one of these people that really cares. I mean, I really don't. And I like really nice things, but I can do nice things. I can do not nice things. I really don't care because it's not about that for me. It's about whether or not I can touch your spirit and feel your heart. It's about whether or not I can hear the pain that's going on inside of you so that it can connect to a pain that's going on inside of me so we can get through it together and not have to feel that way. It's a horrible thing, man, to feel that way with $100,000 car sitting in the driveway of $1 million house with a big old bank account and some fly shoes. It's a horrible thing. When you finally realize that stuff can't make you free. When you finally realize that it's only through spiritual maintenance that we can really get free from the things that haunt us. And I came here haunted, honey. I came here haunted. I came here with bad dreams. I came here with so much baggage. And it has been a privilege and a pleasure over the years to set down some of those bags. You know, because if you're carrying all those bags, you can't carry the message too. You don't have no room in your hands or your heart. One of the other things that I really like to talk about a lot because it's important to me, and if you can't relate to this, it's okay. I went through a lot to get here. We all paid a hell of a price to get here. I paid that price too. And as a woman, I paid that price on a deep and personal level, honey. I mean, my sexual experiences before I got here. I mean, I was raped in my virginity when I was 13, infected with HIV. A couple of years later, my mother's brother decided I was attractive. You know, a couple of years later, I mean, it was just always something. I've been raped so many times. I just started giving it away. I was like, don't go through it, just here. Just here, okay? You ain't got to break the jaw this time, just here. And then when I started using, you know, I didn't have like this great game. You know, I don't know where you guys were when I was using, but y'all didn't teach me nothing on the other side. Y'all didn't teach me how to get money or dope or nothing. Y'all just left me hanging. I guess y'all were in here already. But all I knew how to do was beg and give up my body, beg and give up my body. You know, this is after I already hated my body and hated being a woman for the things that I had gone through. And so, to really tell you what was binding my spirit, a part of what was binding my spirit when I got here is that, let me explain to you what it feels like. To already feel bad about yourself, to already regret the life that you have lived and the things that you've done and the things that you've gone through. And then that hunger of needing another hit hits you. And that hunger is so strong that it overshadows any dignity or pride or self-respect or connection to God that you may have been holding on to just a little bit. And some guy who you can't stand the sight or the smell of shows you money. And you give up everything. And the feel of those hands on you, when you know you don't want to do it, but you know you got to do it, and you know how you're going to feel when it's done, and you know that you will not even have the strength to hold your head up, but you do it again and again and again and again, and you hate yourself. You can't look in a mirror anymore because whore is not even a respectable enough word for what you feel like you are right now. You can't live with the shame. It feels so bad. You wish that another breath wouldn't even come into your lungs because you just don't want to feel it anymore. And you did it, and ain't nobody else to blame because it was your decision. And then you get here to the rooms. And you breathe. Oh, God, I don't have to go through it no more. I could be clean. I don't have to do this. And then you're introduced to the 13th step. Now, that might not mean nothing to nobody else, but men and women have different experiences in this program, and there are so many women that came to this program feeling like I did, and you finally let your guard down and say, thank you, God, I don't have to do that anymore. I can get the dirt off my knees. I can stand up. I can hold my head up. And then through whatever weaknesses or misinformation or whatever you have, you end up in one of those situations. And then you can't get away from it. You got to live with that situation the rest of your recovery. What I'm saying is, it's just not that damn important. We've been through a lot. And we might not even come here knowing how to say no, but believe us, we want to say no. I believe in protecting the newcomer from certain experiences because we've been through hell already. We don't want to go through it again. It's like taking candy from a baby. It really is. I don't know how to say no. All I know is that you're looking at me and you're smiling, and that feels great for the first time in my life, and yes! Because I don't know how to say anything else but yes! I haven't learned how to say no yet. I haven't learned why to say no yet. I haven't learned that I have enough value and worth that I should say no for right now until I learn. Give us a break. I'm talking to the girls too.
That's right.
You know, because the dudes come in, man, they've been through all kinds of stuff, and all they want to do too is just be liked by somebody. This is our house. We are responsible for the spiritual maintenance of our house, and it's no longer okay to keep saying, well, I'm getting better. It's no longer to keep saying, it's no longer okay to keep saying that. Because we have so many bruises, and we have so many scars, and we have so many things that we're ashamed of that we don't need to come in here and find ways and means to be ashamed anymore. We need to uplift each other. One of the brothers that I respect the most in my recovery is the brother that told me, no, you don't even know what you're doing yet. I was like, what you mean? I know how to have sex. He said, yeah, and that's all. Probably right. Never thought about it. And I respect him so much. Because he gave me a chance. This might not be important to anybody else, but I'm just talking to the people that can feel me on this one. We have a responsibility to take care of each other. We have a responsibility to take care of each other. No, we're not perfect, and yes, we're going to make mistakes, and yeah, we come in here with all kind of behaviors, but we're in the solution. We don't have to keep practicing the behavior. And if there's something that you don't know how to do you know how many people who've gone through that experience and they can help you? But sometimes we don't even have the courage to ask for help in the areas that we need help in. Can you imagine how mad people would have been at me? Because look, I came in here HIV positive. I told you that, right? What if I wasn't ready to tell people that I was HIV positive? What if I had run through the gauntlet? Then y'all find out I'm HIV positive. Then everybody want to be mad at me. There's all kinds of reasons for us just not to hurt each other anymore. You know, I truly believe that more than any other people on this earth, man, we just need to be loved for who we are. And we just need an opportunity to know who we are. And that opportunity only comes through, you know, getting our heads clear enough to gain and develop a relationship with a God of our understanding. And we need the opportunity to do that in this program, because so many people have come in and out of these rooms looking for, and you know we're looking for something. That's why we're here. We didn't just show up because we didn't have anything else to do. Sometimes it's been hard to say the things that I need to say. You know, everybody wants to be popular. But I think more than anything else in my life right now, it's just important for me to tell the truth.
That's right.
You know, and even when I'm stepping on my own toes, it's just important because we're here to practice this thing so that we can get it right together. I love you guys so much. I don't know what I would do without you guys. You know? I'm not trying to defecate and eat in the same place. Not anymore. I'm trying to live a little bit differently. And we all need each other's help in doing that. And we need to call each other on our stuff. And not out of anger and not out of judgment, but out of love. Out of love. To say, you know, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. Or have you thought about the effect that that might have on somebody who's not ready to feel that feeling anymore? It's about our recovery. It's about a spiritual journey. I believe that my sponsor and the people who are in my network, they have my best interest at heart. And you know what? That trust is so important when we get in here. We have to be able to look at people that we don't even know and trust that they have our best interest at heart. And that's hard for some of us. But see, that's an important part of coming into this fellowship and having this fellowship work for you. We absolutely have to trust that people in this program, people in our network, people that sponsor us, people that are in our home groups, have our best interests at heart. We can no longer afford to walk around not trusting anybody. And I guess my thing that I ask myself now when I feel distrust sneaking into myself, my question to myself is, what have you got to lose? I've had situations in my life in recovery where through different situations with girlfriends or buddies or whatever, I knew that someone was going through the process of taking advantage of me. And I asked myself, is this thing, this money or this ride or this, you know, whatever the thing is that felt like they were taking advantage of me for, is it that important? The deeper truth was that it was more important for me to make sure that that person felt trusted. Give them the trust so that they can know what being trusted is, so that maybe they'll feel a responsibility to honor that trust. Give them the opportunity. And it's really not about the money that I loaned them. It really isn't. It's just about giving somebody the opportunity to have trust. Things aren't as important to me as people are. And I say that again and again because sometimes we can get so easily caught up. My higher power loves me beyond belief. And I'm here to practice that same love to the best of my ability. And I have you guys in my corner when I fall short to help me, because you can show me when I'm not doing well in a certain area so that I can focus on it again. There are people in this program who've come and gone. There are people like Plez and people like Lee J. There are people like Brian and Vanessa. These are people from my area. There's so many people that have come and gone. And I've been in so many different situations clean where I've been so sick that I thought I was going to be one of those people that's gone. And I'm going to tell you the proof when I knew that this program had really, really on a deep level. You know how you talk about how we practice this program when we're around each other, but are you really practicing it when you're by yourself? One of the first opportunities I had to really know what was in my heart and what was in my spirit and what part of this program I had really allowed to come in and take hold is when I got sick the very first time in recovery. I got really sick. Everybody was having a ball in Atlanta. It was the '96 Olympics. I knew someone that had tickets that could have got me into the Olympics free. And I was too sick to go. I was in the hospital. I was in intensive care for about a month. My lungs had just collapsed. I had pneumocystis pneumonia so bad. They had actually misdiagnosed me twice because when they looked at my x-rays, they said, oh, everything's fine. And then the third person that looked at my x-ray realized that they were looking at it wrong because my lungs were so full of fluid that the whole thing, you know? And so I was in the hospital, and they had called my family, and they had told them I kind of wasn't going to be here for long. People in the program were coming by saying goodbyes, basically. They weren't saying goodbye, but they were. And I remember at the end of every night when everybody had gone home and I was just laying there. You know what I was? I was all right. That was amazing to me. Because I had fought and struggled so long to have a life that felt like it was worth living. And I was so afraid that I was going to mess this whole thing up and then die, you know, in the middle of mistakes. And I laid there and I assessed, you know, I did, you know, I 10-stepped every day, and I was like doing this inventory of what my actions had been, and I thought about it, and I finally realized that finally, for the first time in my life, what I gave was bigger than what I took. And I was blown away. And I was like, God, how'd that happen? Look at what you did. I finally realized that what I gave was bigger than what I took. And I was happy. And I was okay if I died. Because, see, there was nothing left undone. There was no person that I had hurt that I had not had the opportunity to make amends to when it didn't harm them or others. There was no thing that I had done that I had not gone back and made some kind of amend, even if it wasn't directly to that person or institution. The steps had given me the opportunity, you know, to give back all that stuff I stole from those stores while I was using it in the first part of being clean. I'm just me. You know, so I had to go donate to the shelter because I wasn't taking myself to Macy's and turning myself in. But I had the opportunity to make right the things that I had done wrong. And I had the opportunity to find out who I was and be who I was. And I thought to myself, Denise, because this was always my biggest fear, Denise, have you made a difference? And I never knew how important that was to me. I always thought that I was too selfish and self-centered to have that kind of attitude. But this program allowed me to free myself from some of the things that was keeping me from what was really in my heart. And I laid there and I thought about all the kids that I had talked to about HIV. I thought about all the newcomers that I had taken as my pigeons under my wing, and we just rolled out and did what we did. You know, I thought about all the meetings I had been in and been a part of. And I thought about the floors and the toilets and all the stuff, you know, all the little stuff. And I just thought about the nature of my heart, and I was okay. And you know what? That's the most free feeling in the world, to be laying there in the bed with death, and you be like, okay, if it be your will, God, if it be your will. And that's what really taught me how to pray as well, because I never asked God to spare my life. And I don't think I ever will ask God to spare my life, because God has already spared my life. You know, I'm not going to ask for any more time than what's supposed to be given to me, because I've had so much time already that if it's my time tomorrow or if I have another 50 years, I'm okay with it. And I'm not just saying that. I'm really okay with it, because life has been an awesome, incredible, beautiful rainbow experience. And I would not change anything about my life. If God gave me the power to change the fact that I'm an addict, I would not. I never would have learned all this stuff about myself. I never would have learned all this stuff about my spirit. I never would have. If God gave me the opportunity to take HIV from my life, I would not, because I might not know what real human compassion and acceptance is. You know? I might not know. I can't stand to be in meetings where everybody's one color. I can't stand to be in places where everybody talks the same way and has had the same experience. I can't stand to be in all female meetings. I just like to be around people, all kinds of people, because it's an experience. I can't stand to put myself in a box anymore. And I didn't come this far in my life to keep putting myself in a box. I don't belong in a box. I am a free spirit, and I will fly away, and I do fly away. So I think that, you know, kind of in winding this thing down, I know this program is about me. I know it's about my recovery. I know it's about staying clean. But some of the greatest experiences I've had and some of the greatest things I've been able to do, nobody even knows my name was attached to it. Because it's just about, I mean, I don't even know how to express it. And it's not this whole la-la Greenpeace chick thing, even though that's who I am. But it's just love. It's just love. And do you know I always wanted to experience that? And do you know that it heals everything that's wrong in my life? It fixes everything that I'm worried about. Just love. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you ever have the experience of laying there and knowing you're going to die and it being very, very close, you might realize that that's really all that ever mattered. The love of a God of our understanding and our ability to give that to our fellows. You might get the opportunity to realize. So I don't wish my disease on you or on anybody else, but I wish the enlightenment that my disease has given me on everybody. Because I truly understand that going through life is not about how much stuff I collect. It's not about how many accolades I get. I don't have, you know, the letters that are behind my name? I've had many opportunities to go back to school. I loved school when I was in school. I dropped out really early because I started using really early. I dropped out of 12th grade with a 4.0 average. And I was already smoking then. And I've had a lot of opportunities to go back to school, and I never did just because. But when I do a lot of, like, in the work that I do outside of the program, I work with a lot of people who have, you know, titles, and they've done all this education, and it's wonderful because some of these are some of the greatest people I've ever met. But they always ask me, Denise, what goes behind your name? What do you put? And I put HIV, Hep C. Those are my letters, and I earned them, and I'm proud of them. And they've been a fabulous education for me. So I'm not, you know, I'm not a PhD or any of those things, but I am in the process of mastering the journey that God has given me. And I can only wish you the opportunity and the interest and the courage to master the journey that God has given you. Because the other thing we're going to tell you is your journey is so important to me. Your journey is so important to me because we are so interconnected. We are so interconnected on so many levels. It just blows my mind. And everything that you do somehow affects me. And everything that you don't get to do somehow robs me of something spiritual that I'm supposed to have. Because if you're not fulfilled in your spirit, then I'm not enjoying the full enlightenment of your spirit when we meet. So it's not just about me getting through my pain and me being okay, but it's about, my God, what can we do to get her through what she's going through? Because her spirit is blocked right now, and we're missing her blessing. It's not about me giving the blessing. It's about me meeting all you wonderful spirits and getting blessings from you. I can't tell you how wonderful it was to hang out with Hank. I just met this guy, but I mean, just to meet an open spirit who's loving and warm, who wants to do something to help somebody else. You know, and that's where we all are in this journey, just to, for me to just not focus so much on what I'm trying to have in my life and focus more on what I'm trying to give. And that makes me really happy. And that's been my spiritual journey. And I don't know, what kind of spiritual speaker I've been. I'm a baby under the people that have opened the doors for me and held the doors open for me, like Curtis. And I don't know Paige personally, but his sponsee is a part of my network. There's a big part of me getting and staying clean. You see how connected we are? What if he was a screwed up sponsor? I mean, his sponsee would have given me crap and I might not be here. I mean, but really, the things that we do, it affects each other. We're all in this one house together and it's under one roof, and some of the rooms are in Florida and some of the rooms are in California and some of the rooms are in Paris, but we're all under the same roof of this house. And we have to hold up the walls and keep the foundation sturdy and keep the crap out. And we have to love and care about each other even when we don't want to. And it's an amazing feeling to have a resentment against somebody and finally get to the point where you can give it up. And the freedom that you feel because you didn't realize how bound it had you inside. Just to be able to give that person love just because they're a person. And like I said, I don't know what kind of spiritual speaker I am, but I didn't worry about that because my sponsor told me a long time ago when I first got invited to speak at a Narcotics Anonymous convention. He told me that there were 3 stories. He said there's a story that you say you're going to tell before you take the mic. There's a story that God tells when you get in front of the mic if you get out of the way. There's a story that you say you should have said when you got off stage. And these days, more and more and more, I'm just happy with the story that God tells. And I hope that something in my spirit has touched your spirit. I hope that you'll fight really hard for your spiritual growth in this program because, yes, it is always about not doing dope. It is always about picking up. But do you really want to keep living in the hell that you've always been living in? Freedom feels so good, and freedom comes strictly from the spirit. Leaving the dope alone is just the first step in really getting your spirit free and feeling what this life has to offer. And I'm so incredibly happy that my journey has allowed me the opportunity to experience all the smells and the tastes and the texture of this life. And should I leave this place before I see you again, know that my spirit is still here, and I've enjoyed mixing my spirit with yours. Thank you so much for letting me share.